What's up, Blasianeers and Blasianettes? So, finally, after years and years of the idea of a Justice League big screen movie coming from out of the imaginations of all the fans across the globe, and now it's being brought to the big screen. Finally, after all these years, it's really here. Like, you know, it's just, I don't know what to say. I mean, like, I'm gonna be honest with you that I'm gonna keep this spoiler free as possible. By the way, now I'm gonna say, leading up to it, my expectations kind of bounced back and forth. I mean, when I watched the trailers, I did enjoy them, but as it got closer and closer, I was a little afraid of how this how this movie may turn out. But right as it got to this very night, like, I saw it tonight. I mean, as it got to where I walked in the theater, sat in my seat, and I'm waiting for the trailers to be over and then for the movie to start, it hit me harder and harder and harder, where I was starting to get really giddy. Like, this is really happening. Like, this is really a Justice League movie. It's not an animated movie straight to DVD, none of that, not a video game, none of that. I mean, like, this is actually a legit motion picture movie. Like, wow. I mean, like, I was getting really giddy about that it's really happening. Like, this is not a fan-made movie, nothing. This is really happening. So, I mean, it was really great. And the trailers did a very fantastic job at hiding what happens in the movie. They did a really good job at that. They didn't really spoil anything for me. They really didn't. They really didn't. I mean, the movie really speaks for itself. And, the trailers may lead you to believe that the movie may not be that good, because you may have certain expectations, since you've been, especially if you're a fan of, Justice League and the DC characters and all that. But, I mean, the movie speaks for itself. Those trailers are just for, like, they don't want to hide, they don't want to show any surprises that they have up their sleeves. They're not showing you their cards until you go in and see for yourself. So, I applaud them for that. And I gotta say, the dynamic between the characters, they actually worked. I mean, it's like what you would expect from them, like how it was in the Justice League, animated show and in Super Friends. Like, it really worked. Like, the way everyone interacted with each other, I just enjoyed it. There was never a dull moment when, like, these characters or like two of the four characters, like, or whatever, share the screen together. I'm just like, I'm invested into the dynamic. I really am. And assembling the team, it wasn't quite as, like, it didn't look that great in the trailers. I mean, it looked good, but it could have looked better. But I actually did like how they came together in the movie. I mean, it really worked out. And, Batman, it's a desperate mission, like, why he's getting them together, because he can't take on this threat on his own. Where him and Wonder Woman, that's not enough. You got to get these other people to help out, And it's your world too. Fight for it. And then, like, and it doesn't show you how desperate Batman really is, like, in the movie. So when you see that in the movie, I'm like, you know what? I would have done the same thing. I really would have done the same thing. And for those of you, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, you would understand. But, of course, the movie does have flaws. I mean, it was a little choppy at times. There are times where I'm like, okay, you could have polished this, we could have, spent a little bit more time figuring this out. This could have been more fleshed out. This character, really shouldn't have done that. This character, like, what the hell are they doing? And, but it didn't distract me from enjoying the movie. I just kind of went, okay, that's a little weird, and I just jumped right back into enjoying it. It was like, okay, I mean, why are they doing that? And then I just immediately jumped right back into enjoying the movie. And And with the new kids, such as Cyborg, The Flash, and Aquaman, I enjoyed each single one of these characters. I cannot pick one out of the litter. I mean, I just enjoy all of them. I mean, they were portrayed really well, and also, like, I would have preferred that they had their own movies before, like before this movie came out, and then that way the the team assembling what would be more rewarding. But for what they were aiming to do with this movie, it actually worked, and they left a lot of room for these characters to be developed in their standalone movies. So, I mean, it's like you get a little idea of what their life is like, and then it's more focused on the pressing matter, which is this threat that they all have to face together, and which leads to Steppenwolf. People said that they're not really fond of how he was developed, of how he was portrayed in the movie. I thought he was portrayed well. I thought his character development was I thought it was good. I mean, could have been better, maybe, but I'm not the biggest Steppenwolf fan. But I was fine with what they did with him. But I will say that the way his face is structured, I kept thinking, like, he looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, the way his face is structured, I highly doubt that he is playing him in the movie, because it's not Schwarzenegger's voice, is none of that. But it just looked like him. I'm expecting him to jump in and grab one of those cubes, like in the movie, and say "cool party." But no, I mean, that's just a little thing that I thought, like, he has a face like Schwarzenegger. But I was pretty cool with what they did with him. And also with the dark versus light, I mean, like I'll say this: Man of Steel is not really that dark. I can see why people are calling it dark, but it really isn't. I mean, Batman v Superman is a dark movie, and for the story that they were trying to tell, like, would that have worked if they have lightened up the tone, like, for that story that they were trying to tell? I don't think it would really work as well as it did, even though it did have problems. But as in terms of the tone of the movie, I feel like it should have stayed as it is as far as the tone. Like, it really fits, like what the story that they were trying to tell. And with Wonder Woman, like, that needed to be white. They needed to show some development, because Wonder Woman's never been on the big screen before, so she needed that treatment. And so I mean, yeah, I mean, like, Wonder Woman held up the torch really high for, like, how to handle the DC universe, and this movie did carry that torch pretty good, but not as good as Wonder Woman, in my opinion. I don't know, that may change, like, later on, but it still held on to that, and you can feel the effort that they put in this movie. I mean, you really felt that they're trying to make a good movie. They're trying to make sure that they don't fuck up, because it's Justice League. I mean, it's a really overhyped movie, and we've been wanting it for years, and it's like, if this fails, then there's no hope. And in my opinion, despite the flaws, it didn't fail. It could have been a longer movie. I think they cut out too much, but still, I still enjoyed what they brought to the movie. And oh man, I'm tempted to say a spoiler, but I need to shut up. But I will say this: like with Wonder Woman's, from from her pain, like from her experience in her own movie, you can feel that pain that pain is still there in this movie, and they do address that a bit, and it's like she's trying to find her way back, to how she was in the first half of her own movie, like where she is full of hope and she wants to make a difference, and she is just, and that's all she cares about, and she needs to just get back to just basically allowing herself to heal. And Batman went through that in Batman v Superman. He was at a dark point in his life, and then you really see that he is a different man. He really came back from, he was really pulled back from the brink, and and in this movie you could tell his attitude is entirely different, and I enjoy that, you know, and also, I mean, like, it felt like they were listening to the fans, you know, like, you know, like, where fans were complaining about Batman v Superman and whatnot, and I can understand. I mean, like, I understand. Wasn't fond of the flaws too, and when you see with Wonder Woman and with this movie, you really can tell that they were paying attention, and they were like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this differently. Let's do that. Let's do this. Because that's what we love about these characters in the first place. And it really does feel like Joss Whedon, it felt like, you know, he did reshoots, and Zack Snyder, you know, pulled out of, like finishing up the movie because of, you know, an unfortunate tragedy with his family, you know. But it really did feel like, like when you watch the movie, or like when I was watching it, there were like several times where I was like, yep, that feels like a Joss Whedon treatment. That feels like a Joss Whedon treatment. That feels like a Joss Whedon treatment. That's definitely a Joss Whedon treatment. But I mean, to be fair, I mean, like, while Zack Snyder was in the middle of making this movie, when they had that first Comic-Con trailer back in 2016, you can tell that he was leaning more towards a lighter tone for, you know, like, for the movie. I mean, like, that was long before Joss Whedon came in and did the reshots and whatever and whatnot. But I mean, still, I mean, it felt like they were like, this movie was sprinkled with Joss Whedon treatments. But that's not a nitpick at all. That's really not a nitpick. It's just something that I see. Like, I can see that's Joss Whedon doing that. Okay, that felt very Joss Whedon-like. You know, like how he made the Avengers and stuff. But, I mean, when you see the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. But, you know, this movie could have been longer. Some things could have been more fleshed out. Some characters could have handled things a little better. But, you know, there's almost no such thing as a movie with no flaws. So, with that all being said, I say this movie did live up to its hype, and it deserves. It's about, you know, like it's about what you would expect from a Justice League movie. I mean, it's what I would expect from a Justice League movie overall. So I'd say this deserves 4 chair spans out of 5. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 epic chair spins. So feel free to tell me what was your favorite part in the movie, and don't read the comment section if you have not seen the movie. Go see the movie. Trust me. Go see the movie, and if you have seen it, you know, feel free to tell me what was your favorite part about it. There are end credit scenes, so stick around. Don't get up out of your seat yet. Watch the end credit scenes, and I did enjoy both of them. And I was kind of expecting the end credit scene to, you know, to be a bit different than what they've shown, but for what they've shown, I liked. So if you guys enjoyed my review on Justice League, make sure you thumb up the video. Make sure you click subscribe if you're a newbie to the channel. Thank you for watching, and man, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, y'all.